Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. The sun was barely peeking over the horizon when Deadpool kicked open the door to the warehouse. His entrance was as loud and unnecessary as the bright red and black costume he wore. In true Deadpool fashion, he ignored the subtle option of just sneaking in and instead shouted, "Hello, villainous scumbags," who's ready to get their butts handed to them with extra sauce on the side. Inside, a few thugs looked up from their stolen crates of weapons, their faces registering a mix of confusion and amusement. One of them, a burly man with a scar running down his face, stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. "Do you read Deadpool, huh?" he grunted, clearly unimpressed. Deadpool grinned beneath his mask, spinning one of his katanas in his hand. "Oh, you've out of me. I am flattered. Guess I don't need to introduce myself. Saves me some time for the whole slicing and dicing part." Before the thug could respond, Deadpool launched himself forward with the kind of reckless abandon that only someone completely confident in their regenerative abilities would. His swords flashed in a blur of steel, and within seconds the warehouse was filled with grunts of pain, the clanging of weapons, and Deadpool's silent constant stream of commentary. "This is for last Tuesday as taco night," Deadpool quipped, slicing through one thug. "And this one sang for making me miss the finale of that show I was watching. No spoiler." Amidst the chaos, Deadpool spotted what he was really here for: the artifact. It was a small, ornate stone box on a table in the center of the room, looking completely out of place among the piles of illegal arms. Wade's handler had told him that this thing was important, that some shady underground dealer was willing to pay top dollar for it, and naturally that was all Deadpool needed to know. Well, what have we here?" Deadpool said as he approached the box, giving it a light poke. "You don't think you look dangerous, but hey, I don't think you look like someone who can survive getting blown up either, so I want to judge." As his fingers wrapped around the box, a surge of energy shot through him, sending a jolt of magic up his arm. Deadpool stumbled back, momentarily stunned. "Ooh, that tingles. What the heck was that?" he muttered, shaking his hand. "Right now I am probably cursed or glowing or growing an extra limb." He tucked the box under his arm and made for the exit, oblivious to the fact that far away in the quiet town of Sokovia, Scarlet Witch was in the middle of a very different kind of battle, one against fate itself. Wanda Maximoff, better known as Scarlet Witch, stood in the center of a dilapidated cathedral, her hands glowing with red energy as she concentrated on the task before her. The spell she was weaving was delicate, intricate, one that required absolute focus. With every movement of her hands, the air around her shimmered, and threads of fate, thin, barely visible strands, began to materialize, each representing a possible future. Wanda was attempting to mend one of these threads, a dangerous rift that had appeared in the fabric of reality. If left unchecked, it could unravel not just her destiny, but the destinies of those she cared about. Her brow furrowed, sweat beading on her forehead. Almost there, she whispered to herself, the magic pulsed in her veins, responding to her command. But just as she reached the critical point of the spell, a shockwave of energy rippled through the air. Wanda gasped, her concentration shattered as the fate threads around her twisted and snapped. Her hands shook, and she barely managed to regain control of the unstable magic before it exploded. "What was that?" Wanda muttered, eyes wide with alarm. She could feel it. Something or someone had interfered with her magic. The disruption wasn't random. It was targeted, and the force of it was powerful enough to tangle her fate with someone else. Her mind raced as she searched for the source, but the magical interference was like nothing she had ever encountered before. Far away, Deadpool was blissfully unaware of the chaos he had just caused. He was halfway back to the rendezvous point, humming a cheerful tune to himself when he felt it. A strange, sharp pain shot through his side, stopping him in his track. "Oh, what the?" He clutched his side, pulling up his suit to check for wounds. "Am I bleeding? How am I bleeding?" There was no visible injury, but the pain was real, sharp, and unmistakable. Deadpool ceiling factor should have kicked in by now, but something was off. The pain didn't fade, and it felt like it wasn't even his own. "Okay, this is weird," Deadpool muttered, looking around as if the answer would suddenly appear in front of him. "Did I eat something bad? Is it food poisoning? Because if it is, I am never eating chimichangas from that place again." Wanda, on the other hand, was in a state of pure panic. She could feel it. Something, or rather someone, was now intertwined with her fate. Every time she tried to use her magic, she could sense an echo like a ripple that spread out and affected someone else. And every time that person was harmed, she felt it too. With a deep breath, She reached out with her magic, attempting to trace the connection. Her power flared and she focused on finding the source. It didn't take long before she sensed a familiar chaotic energy, a signature she recognized all too well. Deadpool, Wanda whispered in disbelief. Of all people. Deadpool was still trying to make sense of the bizarre pain in his side when the world around him suddenly warped. One moment he was standing in a dingy alleyway, and the next he was face to face with none other than Scarlet Witch. Whoa, Wade yelped, stumbling backward in surprise. Okay, I was not expecting company. Whatness the deal? You here to fight me, kiss me, or both? Wanda crossed her arms, glaring at him. Do you have any idea what you've done? Deadpool shrugged. If I had $1 for every time someone asked me that. Idea of a lot of dollars, care to be more specific. You veg disrupted my magic, Wanda said, her voice tight with frustration. Now our fates are linked. Whatever happens to you affects me and vice versa. Deadpool blinked and grinned. Rakes? You mean we were like fake buddies? Sweet. Does this mean we share a bank account too? Cause I am gonna need a loan. This is serious. Wade, Wanda snapped. If we don't fix this, it could have catastrophic consequences for both of us. Deadpool's grin faltered. Oh well, when you put it like that. Wanda sighed, rubbing her temples. There says a way to undo it, but it won't be easy. The artifact you stole, it sent the key to untangling our fates. We need to get it back and perform a reversal spell. The shiny rock in the fancy box, Deadpool said, pulling the artifact out from his backpack. I knew this thing was trouble. Wanda eyed the artifact warily. We need to get it to a safe place where I can perform the spell, but there's a problem. Let me guess, bad guys, Deadpool asked, twirling one of his katanas. Good thing I brought my toy. It says not just bad guys, Wanda said, her tone darkening. There is something else, something worse. Deadpool's eyes lit up. Ooh, now you're talking my language. Let's go kick some mystical butt. Wanda wasn't as enthusiastic. She could feel the danger lurking just beyond the horizon, an ancient force that had been waiting for the right moment to strike. And now, with her magic in disarray, it had found its opportunity. Deadpool's usual bravado melted slightly as he followed Scarlet Witch into the thickening darkness. The air around them hummed with tension, like the calm before an inevitable storm. Wanda led the way, her hands glowing faintly as she summoned threads of energy, trying to stabilize the volatile magic between them. Deadpool, meanwhile, couldn't help but crack a joke every few minutes, mostly to keep his own anxiety at bay. So, Wade said, stepping over a crumbled chunk of debris on a scale of 1 to holy shit. We were screwed. How bad is this situation? Wanda shot him a glance, her jaw clenched. Bad enough. The artifact is ancient. It was never meant to fall into the hands of someone like you. Ouch. That hurt more than the exploding truck incident last week. Deadpool quipped, but he kept his distance. Despite his light-hearted words, he could feel the weight of her concern and the dull ache in his side that wouldn't go away. They reached the outskirts of an abandoned factory, its looming structure barely visible through the thick fog. Wanda stopped, her eyes narrowing as she surveyed their surroundings. The hunters will be here soon. Deadpool sighed, unsheathing his katanas. Of course they will. Because nothing says fun night out like fighting mystical assassins. Wanda didn't respond. Her focus was entirely on the artifact in her hands, the object glowing with a strange, pulsating energy. She began muttering under her breath, and Deadpool took that as his cue to prepare for whatever madness was coming their way. Just as Deadpool was about to make another snide remark, the first of the hunters appeared, stepping out of the shadows like they had been part of the night itself. Clad in black cloaks, their faces hidden by masks, they moved with an eerie, fluid grace. Deadpool couldn't help but roll his eye. Seriously, we were doing the whole ninja vibe now, he called out to the nearest hunter, who didn't even flinch. The battle began in an instant. The first hunter lunged at Deadpool with blinding speed, a dagger flashing in the dim light. Deadpool parried the strike, easily spinning on his heel to slash at the hunter's side. The attacker dodged, but just barely. Wade grinned beneath his mask. Oh, you were quick. I like that. Let's stand. Before he could taunt them further, another hunter appeared, and then another. Soon, Deadpool found himself surrounded by a group of at least 10, all moving with precision and deadly intent. Normally, this would be a piece of cake for Wade, but there was something different about these enemies. Every time one of them landed a blow, it sent a shockwave of pain through him, pain that didn't heal as quickly as it should have. He felt it again, the strange connection with Wanda. Every hit they took, every injury sustained seemed to ripple between them. Deadpool winced as one of the hunters slashed his leg. The pain immediately mirrored in Wanda's pained gasp. Yeah, okay, this shared fate thing is starting to get really annoying, he muttered through gritted teeth, deflecting another blow. Wanda, I don't know what you were doing over there, but a little magical backup would be appreciated. Wanda was already in motion. She had finished her incantation, and the threads of fate were swirling around her like a vortex. With a flick of her wrist, she sent a wave of scarlet energy crashing into the hunters, knocking them back. Several of them crumpled to the ground, but more took their place, relentless in their pursuit. I am working on it, Wanda snapped, her voice strained as she continued weaving her magic. Just keep them off me. No problem, I'll just handle the army of mystical ninjas with a smile on my face. Deadpool shot back, his swords moving faster than ever as he fought to keep the hunters at bay. He could feel his body wearing down, the toll of the battle heavier than usual, thanks to the strange link between him and Wanda. His healing factor wasn't kicking in like it should, and every hit felt more real, more painful. Wanda, meanwhile, was struggling to maintain control. The magic around her was unstable, and the artifact pulsed with raw energy, almost as if it were resisting her effort. She could feel the threads of fate tightening, pulling her and Deadpool closer to an inevitable conclusion. But she wasn't about to let that happen. With a surge of power, she focused all her energy on the artifact, forcing it to obey her command. Just as the magic reached its peak, one of the hunters broke through Deadpool, in defense, aiming directly for Wanda. She saw the attack coming too late before she could react. The hunter's blade slashed across her arm, sending a searing pain through her body. At the exact same moment, Deadpool let out a grunt of pain, clutching his arm as if he had been hit too. His knees buckled, and for a split second, it looked like he might go down. Nope, not today, Wade growled, forcing himself to stand. With a roar, he spun around and sliced through the nearest hunter, the momentum of his attack sending him barreling into the rest of the group. Wanda, despite the pain, managed to finish her spell. The artifact glowed brighter than ever, and with a final burst of energy, the hunters were thrown back, their bodies hitting the ground with bone-cracking force. The remaining few quickly retreated into the shadows, realizing they were outmatched. Panting, Wanda lowered her hands, the glow around her fading. She looked at Deadpool, who was leaning on his swords, clearly exhausted, but grinning like a maniac. Is it over? Wade asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. For now, Wanda replied, her voice tight, but we still haven't broken the connection. Deadpool groaned. Of course we haven't, that would be being way too easy. Wanda approached the artifact, now lying dormant on the ground. She knelt beside it, her brow furrowing as she examined it. There's still more to do. The artifact was only part of the solution. We need to find a way to separate our fates completely. Well, lead the way, Miss Magic Pants, Deadpool said, sheathing his sword, because if I have to feel you stub your toe one more time, I am going to lose it. Wanda didn't laugh. She could still feel the lingering effects of the hunter's attack, and worse, she could sense something darker looming on the horizon. The hunters weren't working alone. There was a greater force behind them, one that was waiting for the perfect moment to strike. We need to move quickly, she said, standing up and motioning for Deadpool to follow. This isn't over. Deadpool followed her without question, the usual banter falling silent for one. As much as he loved to joke, even he could feel the gravity of the situation. The bond between them was growing stronger, and if they didn't break it soon, it could tear them both apart. As they moved through the dark streets, a heavy silence settled between them. Wanda's mind raced as she tried to piece together the remaining parts of the puzzle. The artifact had been meant to sever their connection, but something had gone wrong. The magic was too unstable, too intertwined with their very being. If they couldn't find a way to fix it, soon there would be no going back. Deadpool, for once, was unusually quiet. He kept pace beside her, his usual bravado replaced by a quiet determination. Despite everything, despite the pain and the confusion, he trusted her to find a way out of that. After all, she was the Scarlet Witch. If anyone could fix the mess they were in, it was her. But even as Wanda tried to focus on the solution, a part of her couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. The shadows seemed to move with a life of their own, and every step they took felt like they were walking deeper into a trap. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and before they could react, the street exploded in a burst of dark energy. Out of the rubble stepped a figure, cloaked in shadows, its eyes glowing with a sinister light. Looks like we've got company, Deadpool muttered, drawing his swords once again. Wanda's heart raced. She recognized the figure. It was an ancient being, one she'd only heard about in legends, a being that fed on the very threads of fate itself. The figure's voice echoed through the darkness, low and menacing. You thought you could escape your fate, Scarlet Witch, but fate is not so easily undone. Wanda stood her ground, her hands glowing with renewed energy. We'll see about that.